This is an Alienware gaming laptop from 2010. It's got a 1.3 GHz Core 2 Duo, 4 GB of RAM, and it currently runs Windows 7. But today, we're going to try to put Windows 11 on it. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So if you're new around here, you might have missed the original video I did on this laptop back in 2021, but to sum that up for you, this was a very generous donation from a viewer named Case, who actually purchased this laptop back in 2011 for $659 before tax. And he got in contact with me recently and suggested that I try and put Windows 11 on this thing just to see how it handles it, maybe run some games, see if the original software that comes with it still runs properly. And I thought, yeah, that would be a pretty good idea. I mean, we haven't really done a lot of Windows 11 stuff lately on this channel, so why don't we change that? Now, hardware-wise, this seems to, at first, meet the minimum system requirements, but as we all probably know, Windows 11 introduced some new caveats, like the need for secure boot and TPM 2.0, which this system doesn't support either of those things, but luckily, it's extremely easy to get around them. So, let's do that. Alright, so the program that's going to make this all possible for us is, of course, Rufus. You guys have probably seen me use this program numerous times on this channel if you've been watching for a while. It is a really great tool for making bootable USB drives, and the great thing about it now is you can actually just download Windows 11 right from it without having to use the media creation tool or anything else. I already have it downloaded here, but if we click on this, it'll bring up a menu. You can choose what operating system you want. We'll just say Windows 11. You pick the version number, the edition, and yeah, I mean, you can get it right from here. I already used the media creation tool off camera, so we have that selected. We're going to change the partition scheme to MBR, and then we're going to give it a volume label. Win11 is fine, and everything else we can pretty much leave at the default options, because when we hit start, we get this menu that comes up that gives us some customization options. And right here, this first option is what gets rid of the 4 GB RAM requirement, secure boot, and TPM 2.0, which is the main thing that we want to do. But we're also going to select this option here to remove the requirement for an online Microsoft account, because I don't want to deal with having to sign into one of those. We can also disable data collection, disable BitLocker automatic drive encryption. Sure, I don't really need that on this computer. We'll create a local account right from here. I'll give it the name Michael. And set regional options to the same values as this user's. We'll just leave that unchecked. But when we hit OK, it'll give us that standard warning message just saying, are you sure you want to overwrite all the data on the drive? We'll say yes. And it will begin copying all the files over to the drive. I will just X out of that and let it do its thing. Alright, we got our USB drive ready to go. Let's pop it in. And we're just going to restart the system. Now, from what I've read, we cannot do an in-place upgrade from Windows 7 directly to Windows 11. You would have to upgrade to Windows 10 in between. But I'm totally fine doing a clean install on this thing, so that's what we're going to do. Though we'll see if it gives us the option like to keep that windows.old folder. I'm going to hit, I think I missed it. Let me just hit F12 here quickly to get the boot options menu, and we will select USB storage, and we'll press any key to boot from USB. One of the funniest things about this system is it does not have a disk drive, which isn't really a problem at all, but the restore media came on a DVD. I think I might have mentioned this in the original video, but yeah, so you would have to buy an external disk drive if you wanted to restore this back to its factory settings. It's not the first time that I've seen this, I just think it's kind of funny. Alright, looks good so far, so we'll select all the default options, install now, and we're not going to bother entering a product key. Now, I think if we just select our primary partition here without formatting and hit next, yes, here it is. This partition contains files from a previous Windows installation. They'll be moved to the windows.old folder. So that's exactly what I want. So we're going to do that. And yeah, we'll just let it copy the files and do its thing. Alright, well that was a success. We're here at the beginning of the out-of-box experience. We're going to just go through and set US as our location and all that stuff, and it should have already created a user account for us. And I just connected it to my network, so it's going to start checking for updates. Alright, here we are, and oh my gosh, I forgot how much bloatware comes with Windows 11. We got all this, like, all these apps here that are pinned to the start menu. No, we don't want to pin Microsoft Edge to the taskbar. What I'm going to do is go into Windows Update, so we'll just go to the settings application here, because, you know, all the drivers that were written for this thing were written for Windows 7. 7. So, they're not going to work here on Windows 11 properly. Case did provide them on the desktop. If you saw, there was that folder before we started the install. So I did back those up, but you can also just download these from Dell directly. But yeah, I mean, we're not even going to bother trying those because, I'm sure they're not going to work properly. But we'll go in here to Windows Update and just see what it's able to pick up. Now, what I did do, though, is I copied over, let's just go into File Manager here. Remember before when I was mentioning that I wanted to try and see if we could get any of the Alienware software to work? Well, that stuff I did copy over here to the USB drive, so we're just going to copy this stuff to the desktop. So this is all of the software for like the lighting controls, and there's the Windows 7 theme in here as well. I'm really interested to see if that if that even installs. It's not going to work properly, I'm sure, but there we go. We've got NVIDIA driver update for GT335M, touchpad driver update, Intel Corporation driver update for mobile Intel 4 Series Express chipset family. Okay, so we got some hardware drivers in here, which is great. Oh boy, well, you're not going to believe this, but it's been a while since the last clip, because yeah, I ran into some problems. So after those drivers installed, the computer got caught in a boot loop, and I couldn't get any of the recovery options booting off the USB stick to work or do anything. I couldn't uninstall the updates from it. That's an option too. It wouldn't let me do that. So I ended up just doing a clean install of Windows 11, and I had suspected that something might be wrong with the graphics driver, because as it turns out, at least according to this Reddit post, the GPU that's in here is officially unsupported by Windows 11, despite the fact that Windows Update shows that it can download drivers for it. Now, this computer has two graphics modes. It's got the integrated Intel graphics as well as the dedicated NVIDIA graphics, and there's actually a key combination when you have all the drivers set up properly that allows you to switch between them on the fly. So I thought maybe that if we tried to use the Intel graphics and just disable the NVIDIA card, that we might be able to get it to work. And long story short, that's what I did. I had Windows Update download the drivers for both the NVIDIA and the Intel graphics, because the annoying thing about Windows Update and Windows 11 is you can't just get specific updates. Like, it'll just give you a list of these are all the updates and you have to get all of them. It's very annoying, and it was not the NVIDIA one was not like an optional hardware update. Even though it's a driver, it was like in the mandatory list of things that we're going to download. So I had to let it download all that, and then before restarting, I went into Device Manager and disabled the NVIDIA driver, because prior to the driver installation, both of the display adapters in Device Manager just showed up with a generic name, and you had to install the drivers for it to be able to tell which one was which. So I disabled the NVIDIA one, restarted, and here we are. So we are on the NVIDIA integrated graphics, which when we get to the game performance, just keep that in mind, because it is going to not be utilizing the full potential of this laptop. And you see I've got 3 games installed: Portal 2, Rocket League, and Half-Life 2 Episode 2. No like current modern titles. It's going to be kind of pointless because we know those aren't going to work on this thing anyway. And just using Windows 11 has not been a very pleasant experience. I mean, even just downloading Firefox and Steam was a pretty miserable process, to be honest. I mean, going into Task Manager here, you can see that although our CPU graph, it was at 50% there, but when it gets down here to idle again, it'll be hovering around like 20%. We only have 4 gigs of RAM in here, which is the bare minimum requirement to run Windows 11, and you see we're using 74% of our memory just sitting here idle right now. Of course, while we do have Steam running in the background, Edge is still running for some reason. Okay, we'll get rid of that. And yeah, so just using this has not been the most pleasant experience, which I know is like shocking, right? Like that we install an unsupported operating system and it doesn't give us the best possible performance. Now, before we get to running these games, I do want to try and install those Alienware utilities that, manage the lighting and all that stuff. And, we've got the themes on here as well for Windows 7. I'm going to kind of be curious to see how that works on here. So this is basically everything that was available from Dell's driver download site for this computer, except for the hardware driver. So the thing is, I don't know exactly what all of these are. I mean, these right here are just the wallpapers. They just provide these as just, image files, which is nice. We don't have to install anything. So here's all these. We'll let Photo Viewer open up here, and we can go through them. So we'll just pick, I don't know, let's just pick one of these at random and just apply it. Let's do this one, and we'll set as desktop background. There we go. That looks pretty cool. So yeah, only one of these has an actual like application name in it because Dell love to just do these random like, I mean they're not random, but these just strings of characters for all their driver setup self-extracting executables. So we'll just run this one. I mean, we'll figure out what it is immediately because it comes up here with the title. So this is actually maybe not, at least in this case, because it just says this is an application version A04 for Alienware Notebook. Okay, so we'll grab that. We'll have it install there. Yes, we want to create the folder, or extract, not install. And let's see what this is, if it brings up a setup executable, which it usually does. Let's go to this PC, and you see we've got, by the way, there is an SSD in here, so that is definitely going to help with read-write speeds and all that. Oh, here we go. Compatibility settings have been applied to at file version to fix compatibility problem. Compatibility settings were applied to the program. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to run the extractor again. Did this not extract like an executable? Yeah, okay, it just didn't run for some reason. So this is the setup executable for whatever this is. Alienware on-screen display. Okay. So I don't know if this is the software that controls the lighting and all that. I think that's called like Alienware Control Center. I mean, I might be wrong. We'll see here in a moment. All right, and I'm just going to not restart now because I want to get all of these installed and just do one restart. So this is the Alienware Command Center, which is what I think controls the lighting and all that. Ah, we need .NET Framework 3.5 Service Pack 1. If I remember correctly, I think it's just a legacy thing that has to be enabled from here. Yep, there it is, .NET Framework 3.5, so we'll grab that. Alright, well I think that took almost as long as the Windows 11 installation did just to get .NET Framework installed. And that did it. So the install wizard came up. We'll go ahead and run through this really briefly. And last but not least, let's get the custom desktop themes. And yes, of course, this is Stardock My Colors. Not really a surprise. I mean, it has been a while since I've used this computer, but I do remember that the theming stuff was all done through Stardock software. But yeah, we'll go ahead and run it. This will be interesting to see how this, to immerse your system in the alien world of Breed, click Apply Theme Now. Okay. We got the splash screen going on there, so that's a good sign. I'd be really surprised if this works. Apply completed successfully. Well, no, it was not. So yeah, not surprising. I mean, this whole program was designed for Windows 7. Though we can change the wallpaper here. I mean, we can do that just fine. So let's hit apply, and there we go. So these are different wallpapers than the ones that we had in that other pack. And yeah, so it thinks that the theme is applied right now, but, you know, obviously nothing is taking effect. Well, hang on just a second. I just noticed, you see the recycle bin icon is different? I believe it applied the icon pack. Let's go to this PC. Yeah, you can see all these devices here. Yeah, it totally applied the icon pack. So that part of the My Colors theme worked out great. So that's awesome. And let's go ahead and try to hop into the Alienware Command Center. Now this should be the program that lets us change the lighting and everything. Oh, and the on-screen display, I believe if we just, you know, hold down the FN key and we like try to adjust the brightness. So yeah, that's the Alienware on-screen display, that center one there. This down here is the Windows one. Because this was not happening before when I was changing the brightness prior to the installation of the on-screen display program. So that's cool. So yeah, that's all, I mean, that's all that does. And, you know, it'll show something for all the other function keys that you press. So, okay, we got to authenticate with UAC for something. So this opens up in full screen, really. And, yep. Okay, so it came up with this getting started thing. We'll just hit cancel. And let's see if, can we change, like, the keyboard? Can we select? Yes, we can. It is changing colors. Look at that. That's awesome. So we don't even have to run this through compatibility mode or anything. Let's maybe make the logo green. The little alien, I mean, you guys can't really see this super well, but the alien power button, we could make that maybe, I don't know, you want to go red on that? That one actually does not seem to be applying instantly, at least. It's still blue. Let's make the keyboard red as well. And we can enable advanced settings too if we want, and this gives us just more, you know, controls here. I did go into more detail on this application in the full video on this laptop, so if you want to check that out, definitely do so. Though, again, for some reason the power light here is not, I mean, it's still blue, even though it shows up as red there, which is interesting. Let's hit apply, maybe. Oh, yep, there we go. Now it took effect. So, yeah, I mean, this works just fine, which is super awesome. You saw the on-screen display. The only program that doesn't work is the themes, which, I mean, I didn't really think that was going to work anyway. So, I gotta say, that's pretty awesome. Let's move on to the games. I figured we'd start with Half-Life 2, go into Portal 2, and then Rocket League, so kind of start from oldest to newest. So right off the bat, let's go into options here. And, yeah, that's already not looking good. We are, we're definitely lagging a little bit. So let's go to advanced. We want to put everything on low, and we'll keep it at the native resolution. And I should have, at least assuming it's synced with Steam Cloud. Oh my gosh, the window's not even closing out. There we, oh. Alright, well it froze up a little bit there, but, so yeah, I've got a saved game in here. We'll load that up. So yeah, I was playing through episode 2 on my main PC not too long ago, and I got like almost to the end of it. So yeah, you can see I've got the FPS up at the top right, so that'll just be there as we change resolutions and everything. But I mean, it's definitely, as you can see, we're not running at full speed, full 60 FPS at all. But it's not terrible. I mean, well, it's not ideal. Let's just say that. And this is at the native resolution, so we can bump this down. Why don't we just bring it into a window? So let's go to video here, run in a window, and I guess we actually, can we not get like 640? Oh, we can change the, yeah, we have to go to 4:3 to get all these resolutions. Let's go 800 by 600 in a window and see what that gives us. Oh yeah, that's much better. It bumps us up to around 30 FPS, so that is far more playable. For some reason, the audio, like, oh, there we go. Okay, for some reason, the audio on the pulse rifle wasn't, yeah, that's awesome. So, it looks like we're gonna get about 30 FPS at 800 by 600. We could lower this to 640 by 480. We could put it in full screen too. This is definitely the best so far. So at 640 by 480 at all low settings, we are still not keeping a constant 60 FPS. And this isn't even with like a lot of action going on. This is just walking around with, you know, all the characters here talking. So yeah, I mean, as I hop out here, you can see, yeah, it's definitely fluctuating rapidly. Actually, I want to see, let me put it back into a window just so we can take a look at the task manager, you know, CPU graph and all that. This does not give me hope for Portal 2 and Rocket League. I honestly thought Half-Life 2 would run a lot better. But again, keep in mind, we are using the integrated graphics. If we had the dedicated, you know, graphics card working properly, we would get much better performance. But let's see here. Let's go to our performance graph. So yeah, our CPU, just with the game pause, is hovering at around 90% usage. Memory is almost maxed out. Again, not very surprising. So yeah, oh, I did not want to do that. Yeah, you can see our CPU and memory is pretty maxed out here. But the game runs at 640 by 480 at a decent enough frame rate, so I mean that's cool. But yeah, like I said, this does not give me much hope for Portal 2 and Rocket League. All right, so I just changed all the video settings to low. We're gonna leave it at the native resolution, and we'll change it to full screen instead of a borderless window. And let's go to single player, and let's see where I was. Where was I in Portal 2? Ah, yes, I was towards the end of Portal 2. Yeah, I was playing through this game a couple months ago. I was replaying it for like the 900th time because it's such a freaking awesome game. Okay. So we are, oh. I was on the boss battle? Oh my gosh. Okay, this is... Okay, so let's first, enable the frame rate counter here, or the FPS counter. Alright, we got that enabled. Let's see what we're working with. 5 FPS, that's awesome. Definitely not the most playable that I've ever seen Portal 2, though it's actually more playable than when I first started playing Portal 2 back in 2011. My computer at the time, the graphics card was not compatible. I mean, the game would run, but you would start a game and it would just be a black screen, and it frustrated me to no end. Then I just realized, oh, I gotta get a new GPU. Let's go into options here and lower the resolution. Let's just go all the way down to like 640 by 480 and see how well that we do with that. Honestly, I am surprised that it even runs at 5 FPS. Alright, it's better. We are hovering, yeah, it's still rapidly fluctuating there. I mean, I'm seeing numbers as low as 5, numbers as high as 36, so we're not getting a full 60, that's for sure. Where am I in this? But yeah, the moon is not, yeah, that's when you're on the ground is when you shoot at the moon, so I'm trying to figure out, like, how far along I am. I've got 3 cores on him. Oh yeah, I was about to go in here. This will, you know, trigger the whole, like, ending sequence if I go in there. So we're just going to not do that and just kind of wander around here for a bit. And yeah, let's put it into a window and just check Task Manager and see how we're doing. I don't want to load the last save. So options, video, not audio, video, and we'll bump this into a window. Yeah, even navigating through the menus is kind of rough. So yeah, again, like pretty much fully maxed out on the CPU and memory. Not surprising at all. So there you go. That is a little bit of Portal 2 in a very unplayable form. Now to see something that's even more unplayable, let's try to open up Rocket League, which is probably just going to suck. So I'm not going to do a competitive match, that's for sure. In fact, I'm probably not even going to join like an actual game. I'll just go into training. I do not want to frustrate people with like, what is this guy doing? But first, let's see if it even launches. Well, not surprisingly, we got an error message. Well, it looks like relaunching the game fixed that, but it is sitting here not responding. So we'll see if it can recover. Oh. Yep, it just straight up crashed. But there is an INI file. We can go, I believe it's under Documents, that kind of controls the resolution and everything. So let's see, it should be under My Games, Rocket League, TA Game, Config, I think, and TA System Settings. This is an INI file. So we open this up, and it crashed immediately. Yeah, that's not too surprising, to be honest. I mean, and even if we got the game to run, it's not like the performance is going to be that great. So, I mean, this is just really putting a lot of stress on this hardware. So, I think I'm comfortable just calling it there. I mean, we got 2 out of 3 of these games to run, and, well, they didn't run at the greatest, you know, frame rate, as you saw. Yeah, but that is running Windows 11 on it. Not surprisingly, we ran into a few issues because this is officially unsupported, but we were still able to get the OS installed and use it a little bit, so I'd say that's at least a success. So if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, maybe consider becoming a patron or a channel member by hitting that join button or clicking my Patreon link down below. And I want to give a huge thank you to Case again for this very generous donation, and a huge thank you to all of you guys for watching. And as always, I will see you in the next video.